The movie begins in a high school music room where a boy named Kosei Arima plays piano with a beautiful melody. Unlike usual, Kosei has not played the piano or read sheet music in the music room for a long time because he has left that life since his mother died. From a very young age, his mother always taught Kosei to play music every day to become a successful pianist. He does have extraordinary talent and genius in playing the piano. He often wins classical music competitions or piano competitions. However, all these glorious achievements were never considered perfect by his mother. Even when he finishes winning a competition, his mother always interrupts him about the notes that he doesn't play well. All the pressure to be the perfect pianist in his mother's eyes, and all that burden made young Kosei hate her. He is always demanded to play the piano perfectly by his mother until one day he can't stand all the pressure, then has a big fight with her. Unfortunately, the big fight happened shortly before his mother died, and Kosei hadn't even had time to say sorry. Since his mother's death, he suddenly can't hear the sound of the piano and can't read the score well. He thought it was a punishment he got for all the bad things he had done to his mother before she died. From then on, he only played the piano when he missed her, even though he couldn't hear the piano or read the sheet music anymore. At school, Kosei has a best friend named Ryota Watari and a girl best friend whom he has known since childhood, Tsubaki Sawabe. Tsubaki is a tough girl who actively joins the school's baseball club, while Watari is a playboy who joins the soccer club just to impress girls. When Kosei comes home from school with them by bus, Tsubaki informs him that there is a classmate who likes Watari and wants to meet. Watari, who really likes dating girls, immediately accepts her offer, and Tsubaki invites Kosei to join the meeting at the end of the week. After getting off the bus, Watari suddenly had to leave them because he had to meet one of his girlfriends. Meanwhile, Tsubaki and Kosei continue their journey to their respective homes, coincidentally in the same housing estate. Tsubaki has been Kosei's friend since elementary school and is often with him as they have been neighbors for a long time. On Saturday, Kosei had arrived first at the meeting place with Tsubaki's classmates. While waiting in a park, he saw a beautiful girl playing the piano with the children. Since he was impressed with her music playing and fascinated by her beauty, Kosei intended to take a photo of her. But when he was taking pictures, a strong wind blew and made her skirt fly, so he accidentally took a picture of her panties. When the girl realized that Kosei had taken her picture, she scolded him and accused him of being a pervert. While she was nagging and beating him, Tsubaki, who had just arrived at the park, immediately called her Kaori. It turns out that the girl named Miyazono Kaori is Tsubaki's classmate who previously wanted to meet Watari to hang out together. Seeing Kaori looking beautiful and sweet, Watari was excited and introduced himself to her. After a brief introduction, Tsubaki invites Watari and Kosei to watch Kaori's violin performance at an annual classical music competition. At first, Kosei, who was still not ready to hear classical music performances, refused the invitation. But Kaori insisted on taking him to the classical music performance with them, so he could do nothing but obey her request. When Kosei entered the studio and sat in the audience with Watari and Tsubaki, many people recognized and talked about him. He is known as a young pianist who was quite popular a few years ago because he often wins classical music competitions. So, it's no wonder many people know him, especially those interested in classical music or pianist competitions. When the show started, one by one, the participants started to show their own music. Watari, who was not interested and didn't understand anything about classical music, fell fast asleep right from the first participant's appearance. At the same time, Kosei tried to remain calm, even though he was a little nervous. When Kaori's turn to play the violin on stage, he silently assessed her music playing. Kosei looked surprised because Kaori didn't play the violin according to the sheet music. She played well and was very sincere, but she seemed not to care about the judge's judgment and just played according to her heart's desire. While the judges seemed disappointed with her performance, Kosei was interested in her musical style because she played the violin happily and freely without any burden. Since meeting Kaori, Kosei often spends time daydreaming and thinking about her. That day, when Kosei was about to go home from school, he accidentally met Kaori, who was waiting for Watari's arrival on the sidelines. However, because Watari still has to participate in club activities, she asks Kosei to accompany her to lunch at a restaurant. At the restaurant, Kaori sees two small children playing the piano, and she suddenly has an idea to make Kosei want to play the piano again. She approached the two small children and told them that Kosei was a talented pianist, so the two children asked him to teach them. Kosei had no choice but to obey the little boy's request and started playing the piano slowly. At first, everything went smoothly, and the restaurant patron seemed impressed by the piano playing by Kosei. However, in the middle, he suddenly stopped playing the piano, and his hands seemed to shake. He then rushed to grab his things and left the restaurant without saying anything to Kaori. Seeing this, Kaori ran after Kosei and asked him to go to a lake. she told him that she often saw the sunset at that place when she was feeling sad. She said that she had admired Kosei's music playing since she was little, and all of his music had inspired her to play music. Therefore, since Kosei stopped playing music, Kaori became very surprised and wondered what made him stop playing the piano. He had no choice but to tell her that he couldn't hear the piano or read the sheet music well. Hearing that, she encouraged him and said that his piano sound deserves to be heard by everyone. Not only that, but she also asked Kosei to help her accompany the song in the next violin competition. The next day at school, Tsubaki looks happy after learning that Kosei is finally willing to play the piano again after so long. Since that day, Kaori and Tsubaki have been enthusiastic about helping Kosei overcome his fear of playing the piano. They started displaying the scores of the songs they were going to play at the competition all over the walls of the school music room. But unfortunately, after all the effort and support they gave, Kosei suddenly approached Kaori and said that he couldn't continue playing the piano and asked her to find another accompaniment. On the day the classical music competition takes place, Kosei decides not to attend and chooses to relax on the roof. Kaori, who knew Kosei would be hiding on the roof, approached him and persuaded him to participate in the competition. She said that he doesn't have to try hard to play perfectly, but to play happily and express his true feelings so that his music can reach the audience's hearts. Hearing all that, Kosei became impatient with Kaori and accepted her invitation to come to the competition. But he couldn't promise anything to her or guarantee that they could win the competition. After that, they rushed to the music studio with the help of Watari and Tsubaki so they could arrive on time. While waiting for their turn, Kaori approached Kosei, looking seriously at the sheet music, and tried to calm him so he wouldn't be nervous during the performance later. When it was their turn to appear on stage, they slowly began to play their instruments calmly and in rhythm. At first, everything went pretty smoothly, but after getting to the middle of the song, Kosei suddenly saw the image of his mother and began to lose concentration. He finds it difficult to listen to the piano or see sheet music well, so he decides to stop playing to not ruin Kaori's performance. But not long after Kosei stopped playing, Kaori also stopped playing her violin and asked him to start playing the song again. Seeing her sincerity, Kosei started to get up the courage to go back to playing the piano without looking at the score and only relying on his memory of the score he saw all the time. As a result, they could put on a performance that was better than their previous expectations, and the audience seemed satisfied to see their musical collaboration. A few days later, Kaori informs Kosei that they have received an invitation to perform at a gala concert. Even though they had not won any classical music competition before, some well-known judges and pianists seemed so impressed with their performance that they got a special invitation to perform at a concert. The next day, when Kaori visited Kosei's house, she saw a piano and a pile of dusty scores because they had not been used for a long time. After cleaning Kosei's piano and music room, she finds a sheet of music on the music shelf and decides to display it again at the gala music concert later. It turns out that the song is another favorite of Kosei's late mother, entitled Sadness of Love, and his mother often played that song when Kosei was little. On the other hand, Tsubaki looks sad to see the closeness between Kosei and Kaori because she has actually liked him for a long time. Still, she is not aware of her feelings for him. A few days before the gala concert, Kaori and Kosei spent more time practicing together in the music room. However, when the day of the gala music performance arrives, Kaori suddenly does not attend the show, so Kosei is forced to appear on stage alone. When playing his mother's favorite song, he recalled all his good memories with his mother. His mother used to play the song as a lullaby for him and deliberately played the Sadness of Love song so that he could grow up to be a stronger person in dealing with all the sorrows in life. Since Kosei's appearance that day, he begins to accept his mother's death and is slowly freed from the past trauma that made him stop playing the piano. After the show ended, Kosei, Watari, and Tsubaki got the news that Kaori was being treated, so they were immediately rushed to the hospital. While at the hospital, Kaori explained that just as she was about to leave for the show, she suddenly fell and hit her head on the floor, so she fell and had to be rushed to the hospital. But actually, Kaori was treated not for that reason. She was suffering from a deadly disease that made it difficult for her to move. Behind the smile and joy that she showed to her friends, she secretly kept all the sadness and suffering to herself. A few days later, Kaori was allowed to go out for a while, so she took the opportunity to approach Kosei and ask him out on a date. She invites him to buy some books at the bookstore, watch the underwater scenery in a large aquarium, eat in the park, and play on a beach. Before ending their date, Kaori invites Kosei to take a photo together as a memento of them. After that, he offered to accompany her to take the bag to class because he thought she had recovered and returned to school. Unfortunately, Kaori is still not allowed to enter school, and she deliberately comes to school just to meet Kosei. While crying, she tells him that she is still being treated and her illness is getting worse every day. After telling the truth to Kosei, Kaori ran out of the classroom, and when he chased after her, she suddenly fell unconscious in the school corridor. After that, Kosei called the ambulance and dropped her off at the hospital. After Kaori woke up, she apologized to Kosei for worrying him. She didn't expect that her condition would worsen so quickly. Even she wished they never met if she ended up like that. After knowing her true condition, Kosei chooses to avoid Kaori because he is still not ready to experience the loss of the person he loves for the second time. Watari also tried to persuade him to visit Kaori or meet her, even if only for a few minutes. In the afternoon, Tsubaki visits Kosei at the park near the lake and asks if he likes Kaori. Hearing that, Tsubaki couldn't help but feel jealous, but for his happiness, she insists on forcing him to confess his feelings to Kaori before he regrets it. After hearing Tsubaki's words, Kosei realized that he must confess his feelings to Kaori before it was too late. After that, he also ventured to meet her at the hospital and eat together on the hospital roof. While on the roof, Kosei confesses his feelings to Kaori and says he wants to get back to playing music with her. Hearing Kosei's confession, she kept quiet and didn't say anything while looking up at the sky. When Kaori was about to return to her room, her legs suddenly relaxed until she finally fell into Kosei's arms. At that time, he saw for the first time a girl who usually looked cheerful turned into a very fragile girl. Kaori cried and said she was scared because she was still not ready to face death. A few days later, Kaori decided to undergo surgery, even though the operation's success was less than 50%. This is because she wants to be able to return to playing music so that she can appear on the same stage with Kosei. On the day of Kaori's surgery, Kosei enters a piano competition and plays a song he dedicates to her. While performing on stage, Kosei kept imagining Kaori playing the violin with him and pouring all his feelings into the music he created for her. She seemed happy to be able to play on stage with him, and he also seemed moved by her presence. But at the end of the song, Kaori suddenly stopped playing the violin with a smile, as if she was saying goodbye to Kosei. Her figure slowly disappeared from sight, along with the last melody he played. It turns out that all of Kosei's thoughts about Kaori's departure are not just a hunch because, in the end, she really left him. After going through hours of surgery, the doctor declared that Kaori could no longer be saved and was gone for good. A few days later, Kosei finds a letter left by Kaori for him in the school's music room. In the letter, she reveals that she has been interested in him for a long time and wants to be a part of his life. She had watched all of his performances for a long time. Since seeing Kosei play the piano, Kaori became inspired to play the violin and became interested in classical music. That's why, when he suddenly stopped playing the piano, she became very sad and wanted to help him to recover from his trauma. While at the same high school as Kosei, Kaori pretends to like Watari, so she has a chance to get close to Kosei. While reading the letter, Kosei recalled the memories of when he met her for the first time and all the memories of when he spent time with her. At the end of the letter, Kaori finally gives an answer to Kosei's confession of love while on the hospital roof the other day by saying that she also likes him. Since then, Kosei has returned to playing the piano like before, and his two friends seem happy with him, who have managed to overcome his fear. The moral that can be learned from this movie is to live life to the fullest because we don't know how long we will be able to live in this world and how much time we have to create beautiful memories with the people we love.